Hi, everyone. Some people are joining, so we will get started in just a couple minutes. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, Thank you all for joining us today to learn more about summer nutrition programs in Maine. For this webinar, we're going to focus on summer meals or sun meals and sun bucks. We'll do a quick round of introductions from all of our teammates and presenters and things today. And then we'll share some about Sun Meals and give a few updates from the DOE Child Nutrition team, and then have a Sunbucks presentation. And then we'll hear a little bit of storytelling from a summer meal sponsor here in Maine. And then just a little bit of housekeeping. There's a couple buttons at the bottom of your screen. One has the chat function and one also has the Q&A function. So feel free to use either of those at any point to ask questions or share thoughts. We love to hear from you. And so I can start with intros. My name is Kirsten. I use she, her pronouns. I work with Full Plates, and a lot of my focus is on the out of school time meals. So summer happens to fall into that. And I'll pass it to Chelsea.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chelsea, she, her pronouns. And I also work with Full Plates, specifically on our out-of-school mealtimes initiatives. So I am the out-of-school mealtimes and summer meals AmeriCorps Vista. And I will turn it over to Finn.
All right. Hey, my name's Finn. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the grants manager with Full Plates. And I'll pass it to Toby.
Hi, everyone. My name is Toby Solomon-Ozier, she, her pronouns. I am the SNAP outreach planner for the Office for Family Independence at DHHS, and I also work on our Sunbucks outreach. And I'll pass it over to Katie.
Hi there, I'm Katie McDonald. I use she, her, hers. I am the operations manager at Healthy Lincoln County. We do some substance use prevention, some SNAP, and some food security work. And so I will be sharing some of our work on our Summer Meals project.
Okay, so thanks everyone. Right, so we've done that. So our summer nutrition webinar on sun meals and sun bucks. Yeah, so today our agenda, we did our welcome and intros, and so we'll do a little bit about sun meals and our updates, and then the presentation from Toby about sun bucks. And then we're going to have a summer meal partner story with Katie. And then the Full Plates team will share a bit about our summer meal resources and some grants that we have. And then we'll have space at the end for question and answer time. And so what are sun meals? The reason we're here today. It was formerly the Summer Food Service Program, or some might know it as Hot Lunch Summer, which was a really fun campaign that happened a couple of years ago. And now we call them Sun Meals. So it's a federal USDA program providing free meals and snacks to children in the summertime. So they're intended for children ages 18 and under. They're located at schools, parks, and various other eligible places. The meals are at no cost for the family, the children under 18 that are receiving them. No applications are required. And these meals follow the school nutrition patterns. So it's the same as the meal that your student would get at school at lunch. I will pass it to Chelsea, and Chelsea will share a little bit more about the intricacies in summer meals and the options.
All right, so we're going to be talking about the different options for summer meal implementation. The first one is congregate meals. So this is meals that are served in a group setting. And many congregate sites are also providing enrichment and whole family support throughout the summer. So this is what we think of when we think of like more traditional summer meals that take place at parks, at schools, during summer schools, in libraries, community centers, and organizations and nonprofits. So there might be complementing pieces to these meals, which may include a fruit and veggie distribution or arts and crafts or a summer camp experience or summer activities that are planned specifically for the students that are participating. And it also opens up connection to community resources as well. For congregate meals, these are the meals where the kids are eating and consuming those meals on site. Some areas in Maine are required to do congregate feeding. And then we'll talk about the other options. So next slide is the non-congregate meals. So this specifically pertains to summer meals in rural places. So this is another option on the table for our rurally located sites, which for the state of Maine is most of our sites are eligible for rural non-congregate. The areas that facilitate congregate feeding are heavier population areas like Portland or like Lewis and Auburn. They have to do the congregate eat on site meals, but the vast majority of our state qualifies for the rural non-congregate. And this can look a whole bunch of different ways based on what is best for the communities that are being served by those meals. So there may be grab and go where caregivers are picking up the meals at designated times, but those meals do not need to be consumed on site. There's meal delivery where they're actually being dropped off at households. There's bulk meals where it's a kit that is multiple days of meals at a time that are either picked up by caregivers or delivered to the households. And then there's parent pickup and mobile routes where the meals are traveling around on a van out into communities. So these are just different options that you'll see pop up around the state this summer. Next slide. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Kirsten for updates from our friends at the DOE.
So the DOE currently is very busy processing applications for approval this summer. So they urge to keep an eye out if you have an application pending for any news from Kate, Jody, or Nick at the DOE. We're all part of the child nutrition team regarding your application. And if any adjustments are needed, they'll reach out with those specifics for you. If you're a new sponsor and you've already submitted an application, they'll be reaching out shortly to schedule your pre-visit. And unfortunately, the window for new sponsors has closed as there's a lot of different tedious things for that have to be done before you can open, like pre-visits and also an in-person training. And so the final in-person training date is this Thursday in Augusta, and it's currently full. But if you are a primary contact for a sponsor and you haven't made it to a training event, reach out to the DOE. And so you can reach out to them at, you can reach out to Kate or Nick, and I've got their emails right there. Yeah, so there's our summer meal updates. And I think now we are going to pass it off to Toby.
Awesome. Thanks, Kirsten. I'm really excited to be here today and share a bit more about Sunbucks and how we can help get the word out. So for those not familiar, Sunbucks is a summer grocery benefit for kids that can help pay for groceries over the summer while school is out. It works in concert with the Sun Meals program. Families will receive a one-time EBT benefit of $120 for each child who qualifies. And unlike other EBT benefits, most eligible kids will actually be automatically enrolled in the program and won't have to apply. So because so many families will be receiving these benefits without ever applying for them, we're really focused on trying to increase awareness about the program so that families know that it's real when they get a letter in the mail and how to use their Sunbucks benefit. So kids can be enrolled in Sunbucks through a couple of different ways through participation in other programs. So this includes a child who is individually certified for free or reduced price meal benefit through their school. or age 6 to 16 and part of a household that's already participating in SNAP, FDPIR, TANF, Maine Care at 185%, or if they've been identified as foster, homeless, or migrant by DHHS. And those families will all receive letters in the mail starting this week, actually, into early June. There's a couple of ways. If a child is not automatically enrolled, they can still be eligible to receive some bucks. And the qualifications there, if they are enrolled in a school or Head Start participating in the National School Lunch Program, and part of a household that meets the requirements for free or reduced price meal benefit. And these families are eligible to go in and apply for Sunbucks. We recommend that families wait until June to see if they got a letter in the mail notifying them of automatic enrollment. And if they haven't, they can go in and apply, and that application stays open until August 15. So how will families receive their Sunbucks? For kids who already get SNAP or who received PEBT or Sunbucks previously, their benefit will be loaded onto that card. For kids who don't get SNAP or didn't receive these benefits previously, they will be issued a new Pine Tree card in the mail, and you can see a photo of that card there on the right. New cards will be sent to the mailing address on file, so it's really important that families ensure their mailing address is up to date with OFI and their school. They can call OFI at any time to update that address. And I also shared the number here. They can call to get a replacement card if they lost that card, or if they want to check the balance on their card. So here's an overview of the timeline for Sunbucks. The application for Sunbucks is currently live on My Maine Connection, and anyone can apply, though they won't receive benefits until June. And letters are currently going out to automatically enrolled kids. In mid-May, Pine Tree cards for kids without an existing card will also go out, but they won't yet have a benefit attached. And then in early June, that's when the benefits will be issued, and families can continue to apply if they haven't received their Sunbucks until August 15. In October, benefits that landed in June will be expunged, so pulled off the card. Benefits expire after 122 days, so we really encourage families to use that benefit over the summer months. That's just showing where we are. So a couple different things you can do with your Sunbucks. Sunbucks can be used to buy groceries. So that includes any fresh produce, meat, poultry, fish, dairy, breads, and grains. Fun fact, it can also be used to buy seeds and seedlings, which produce food for the household to eat. I also really encourage folks to check out the Maine Harvest Bucks program and Farm Fresh Rewards program, which can boost the Sunbucks benefit, just like SNAP, when you shop at participating farmers markets, farm stands, co-ops, and local grocers. Each website has a list of the participating locations linked there. So what are the key takeaways here? If you are working with families or kids who might be eligible for Sunbucks, please tell them to keep an eye on their mail. They will be receiving a letter letting them know if they've been automatically enrolled in the program, and their Sunbucks will land in early June. For households who didn't get a letter but think they might still be eligible, they can go in and apply anytime, but we encourage folks to hold off until June. And lastly, it's really important that folks know that that Sunbucks benefit does expire, and don't wait to use it. So our ask today is to help us get the word out. Over 110,000 kids are expected to receive their Sunbucks benefit this year. Last year, around 100,000 kids received Sunbucks, and 70% of those kids utilized their benefit. So this year, our outreach is really focused on trying to raise awareness of the program and increase participation. We have a Sunbucks outreach toolkit that lives on the OFI Sunbucks webpage and contains some different informational materials, social media posts, translated materials, and other flyers and things. So I really encourage folks to check it out. We can share a link as well. And for other information about Sunbucks, there's a great FAQ and more information listed on the Sunbucks page, and really encourage folks to check it out. And thank you for helping us to spread the word.
Thank
is
you so
me.
much, Toby, for sharing about Sunbucks. It was incredibly helpful. And if anybody has any questions about Sunbucks and you want to drop them in the Q&A or the chat, then we'll make sure that Toby will get an opportunity to answer those questions for you. Next, we're going to turn it over to Katie McDonald from Healthy Lincoln County to talk a little bit about their summer program and what they're fixing to do this coming summer. So Katie, I'd invite you to, got some questions for you, and tell us a little bit about what y'all do. So starting out, can you just tell us a little bit about what Healthy Lincoln County as an organization does?
Yeah, thanks so much. So Healthy Lincoln County's mission is to provide support and resources to meet health needs, focusing on public health initiatives, prevention, and education to improve health outcomes in Lincoln County. And that looks a couple different ways. We do some substance use prevention work, we do some SNAP education, and then we do a couple of different food security programs.
Excellent, thank you. All right, the next question I've got is, Healthy Lincoln County is a major meals provider in both Lincoln and Knox counties. So can you share a little bit about what your summer program looks like?
Yeah, so Healthy Lincoln County has been a host for summer meals programming in some form since 2015. In COVID times, we kind of took on a larger role in the county as being kind of like the central host. And so we were hosting sites across Lincoln County, and we have a few sites up in Knox County as well. Depending on the summer, we have had as many as 3 kitchens working. Last summer, we had 1 kitchen, and they were our heroes. Last summer, they did almost 18,000 meals, I think, and that was 2 kitchen staff. We typically serve somewhere between 25 and 30 sites, and usually 17 to 20,000 meals, including both breakfast and lunch, is our what we serve per summer. We are a rural location, so we host both congregate and non-congregate sites. And we deliver meals along 2 separate mobile routes using Lulu, the lunch wagon. So you can see her photographed in the slide. She was kind of one of our recent successes during COVID. We were able to purchase this van. It's very well known in the community. People know to look for Lulu. I forget when I'm driving, when people wave at you, that people know who you are. And so this is the vehicle that we go out on the mobile route. We have a bell that we ring. So when the van comes into the housing development or the park or wherever it is dropping off, we ring the bell and kids know that they can come out and get their meals. In addition to delivering meals, we try to also bring along some other resources and activities. So one of our other food security efforts is we work with local farms to do gleaning of produce. And so we often try to bring that local gleaned produce out on the route with us. We also have an incredible local business, Rising Tide, that provides eggs for the route. So, right, we know that we are only feeding kids under 18, but all the other materials that we're bringing out on the route can be given to parents and families. And so especially now, eggs are gold. And so we're really excited to be able to offer that again this summer. We work with the Midcoast Literacy Program. They come along the route a couple times throughout the summer and give out free books. Our SNAP educator occasionally will accompany out on the route and do taste tests and have recipe cards. And then we also just try to have like hula hoops and bubbles and fun activities that make kids want to engage and come and hang out with Lulu.
Thank you so much for sharing like all the awesome stuff that you do with bringing Lulu out into the communities. I got to visit Lulu last summer, and it was the SNAP educator and the Glean Produce was on that day that I got to go visit. So it's a really great program. And Katie, can you share just a little bit about, your plans for this summer? I know you have some extra help this summer. and or even speak a little bit about your partnership with Stormy.
Yes. So this summer we have hired a summer meals coordinator, which we are very, very excited about. She will be in charge of that summer meals at healthylincolncounty.org email address. So we will have a person that's kind of designate to coordinate with our volunteers. We work closely with schools within the district. RSU 40, who is the real heroes, they've been on with us every summer. So typically that looks like we have a meeting kind of early in January, February, and start kind of talking about summer meals, which feels odd to do it that early, but again, trying to make sure that we have staff on board. Last year, the kitchen only had 2 staff. And so this year we had a conversation of like, how do we make sure we have a 3rd staff so that everyone can take time off? And like, how do we problem solve things that happened last year? We do our outreach with the schools as well. So we identify our kitchen, and then we're starting to do recruiting for sites. So who are the schools and community partners that are most interested in hosting a site? We're reaching out to past sites as well as using our networks within schools and community organizations to identify other folks who might be interested. Really, the backbone of our program is volunteers. So we have a number of businesses in Lincoln County that require staff to do volunteer hours. So we have a number of banks that allow their staff to come and volunteer and drive Lulu and do the delivery of meals. So it's a really mutually beneficial for everyone. So our entire mobile route is managed by volunteers. So our summer meals coordinator will be kind of the person overseeing that and making sure they get all the support they need. And we also have the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department is typically on the route. And so we rely super heavily on that. At this point in the year, we're kind of like trying to get volunteers on board. We're starting to think about how we are training them. We just did our design. We give all of our volunteers a shirt so that kids know that they are like the volunteer associated with Lulu. So we've just finalized that. So lots of moving pieces all at once, but trying to keep things in their own little buckets and focusing on one thing at a time. And especially the school staff, the kitchen staff have been doing this so many years that like they are the experts. And so we're very fortunate that we're able to rely on their expertise, and they have the meal sequence figured out. And so they are the food experts in our world.
Thank you so much for sharing. And just kind of finally, Katie, is there anything else that you would like to share about Healthy Lincoln County or about summer meals in general? Any last parting words of wisdom?
I think Lincoln County is very fortunate, right? Like this may not be possible in every place, but our particular county, our particular community partners, this was what worked best for everyone. And so we kind of see ourselves as facilitating the process, but really relying on the folks who are the experts. So we rely very heavily on Full Plates, Full Potential, with the school nutrition staff, as we talked about, relying heavily on kind of just talking with other folks who are doing this type of work. We are very much like, let's not recreate the wheel, right? There's lots of resources. And so how do we lean on the experts that already exist and then also pull in kind of our best practices and things that we have learned. So I think Healthy Lincoln County feels very grateful to have this opportunity. I pulled some numbers. Since the beginning of our program, we've fed over 165,000 meals across Lincoln County and Knox County. And that happens because of volunteers, right? Because of the kitchen staff who are agreeing to work silly hours, which we're hoping to reduce. And so the program is able to be successful because of the community buy-in and because of all the different layers that kind of come together to make this happen. So Healthy Lincoln County is very proud to do this work and also recognizes that we are just one piece in this big moving kind of puzzle. And so we're very grateful to be able to say that, right, that we have fed 165,000 meals in Lincoln County. Yeah. So I guess I'll leave with that.
Thank you so much for sharing, Katie, and so much gratitude towards you all at Healthy Lincoln County and your school food service partners for the incredible amount of meals that you all are able to serve both Lincoln and Knox counties. So if anybody does have any questions for Katie about Healthy Lincoln County, about how their structure works, how they've recruited volunteers, if you drop that in the Q&A, we'll be happy to get those questions over to Katie so that she can answer them for you. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kirsten.
Thanks, Chelsea. That was great. Also, echoing what Chelsea said, thank you, Healthy Lincoln County and Katie, for all the hard work and RSC 40. So last summer, Chelsea and I, we went on so many road trips to visit sites across the state. And we saw so many reoccurring themes. The first one I want to mention, our summer meal sponsors and partners are absolute rock stars. So they're serving thousands of meals, and they're also resourcing families with fresh produce or SNAP outreach, dental clinics, and so many other various family-centered and summer-themed activities and enrichment. And then we also noticed that there were 3 core needs that were also successes throughout this process. And so first was funding and staff. Funding summer meal programs can be really costly. They're really time consuming. It honestly takes a village to make them work. And so having good funding and support can help with equipment, enrichment, transportation, and the staff that's needed to create and distribute these meals. So, you know, our grants, our organizational support, those can help with that funding and staffing. And kind of like Katie mentioned, community partners really help to create a robust space for families to come into, like I said, with the fresh produce or maybe the dreaded tooth cleaning. And the volunteer recruitment also is a really important piece and a huge part of summer meals. So a lot of the more successful programs have a really strong volunteer base. And then community. So the community engagement and support is really crucial to ensuring the sustainability of the programs. Well-resourced programs have successes in meeting families where they're at. You know, in a perfect world, summer meal sites and partners are collaborating to share their resources, which is enriching not just the families, but also the community as a whole. You know, families know where the summer meals are and what they are and that they're available to them. You know, it's more than just a meal. It becomes a play date or a chance to do some crafts or grab some fresh fruits and veggies. And then advocacy. So sharing the story of your program and the importance of summer meals and summer nutrition with families, community members, local officials. So being able to share your story, the importance to keep the programs running and to shine a spotlight on all the hard work that we just heard Katie talk about and that we see all summer long with families families with sponsors just kind of working all summer long when a lot of us are at the lake enjoying the sun. Our summer meal providers are making sure that our kids are well fed on their way to the lake. So being able to share that and really speak loudly about the importance is important. So all of these 3 things we've noticed they're barriers for programs, but they're also the biggest strengths in programs. And they're all fixable barriers. It just really takes, like I said, it takes that village to support summer meals. And I think next we are going to pass it over to Finn, who will share a bit about the summer meals grants that Full Plates offers.
Awesome. Thanks, Kirsten. Yeah, so we have our summer meals grant, which is currently open. And Full Plates offers this grant every year to support summer sponsors in improving and expanding their programs. So it's open right now, but only for a couple more days. The application closes at the end of the day on Thursday, so May 15th, very end of the day, like 11:59 p.m., but please don't stay up that late working on this. and you can apply for up to $10,000. And it's open to anyone in Maine who's an approved summer sponsor. And then we'll also be doing a small mini grant in July, specifically around summer spike events. So these are community events to kind of remind folks in your area of the meal offerings and get folks in person, do a little celebration, and kind of remind people of how to access meals and boost participation. But more coming on that later this summer. But right now, just the main grant is open up to $10,000. And I put the link to our website here at the top where you can go on and read more about this application process. You can download the questions. You can look at how other people have used this grant. There are lots of resources there. You can see the scoring rubric, eligible expenses, and all of that. But I will take a minute now to just talk a bit about how you can use this grant and what you can use funds for. So at the top are some examples of allowable expenses. So these include things like marketing and outreach. So you could pay to have flyers printed. You could work with a designer to get a logo designed. You could get stickers, magnets, things like that. We've seen like van decals for things like Lulu before. You could use these funds for equipment and supplies. And there is actually a list on our website of examples of eligible equipment and supplies. It could be something big, like cold storage, a new oven, or it could be something small, like little taste test supplies or small wares. You can use these grants for transportation costs. You can purchase or lease a vehicle. You can do maintenance and repair. You can use it for food used in taste tests, menu samples, or recipe development. Folks have been doing this more in recent years of taking time over the summer to really invest in trying out new recipes and doing lots of tasting with kids. And you can use this grant to get the food costs for these samples, as well as the supplies needed for that. And then you can also use the grant for short-term staffing costs specific to this grant project. So this could be training for your staff for the summer. It could be if you're opening a new site or doing a new route delivery. It could be labor needed to do that kind of additional increase in capacity. It could be additional staff to run a tasting program or to do enrichment activities this year. And the only things that you cannot use this grant for are food served for consumption and reimbursable meals, or ongoing staffing costs required to operate your program. And this is because of the Child Nutrition Performance Standards, or the BCA regulations, that just dictate these things cannot be grant funded, or else it'll be a finding when you're audited. So that's kind of why there's this distinction. But yeah, please just let me know if you have questions about these expenses as you're thinking about your application. We try and keep the application pretty simple. It just asks some questions about your like sponsor status and which sites you'll be running, expected participation. And then there are a couple narrative questions around how you'll use the grant funds. But it's just one form and it's online. And again, please just reach out if you have any questions about it. We're here to help. And reminder to get those applications in the next couple of days if you're planning to apply. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Finn. And again, if you have any questions for Finn, you can drop it in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll get them over to Finn so that Finn can answer them. So I'm just going to share a little bit about some of the resources that are available this summer from Full Plates. Our first one that I'll talk about is our summer landing page. So we spent kind of this whole winter revamping our summer landing page, and it is full of resources for both our new sponsors, for existing sponsors who have been doing this for a long time, and our community partners out there looking to get involved. So Kirsten has just dropped the link to our new summer landing page, and we'll also, I believe, be linking this webinar onto the summer landing page as well, but there's tons of resources on there that we encourage you to check out. Another piece on this landing page, we also have a bunch of success stories that were collected last summer. Kirsten talked about kind of our road tour last summer to visit sites. So we collected success stories from each of those sites that we went to visit, of just really creative things that they are doing to share out those successes so that we know more broadly about what great summer programs are happening across our state. And we'll be continuing those visits this summer as well. So we're excited to get out there and visit some new sites and just see the incredible work that happens over the summer here in Maine. And then next slide. And the other resource that we have in addition to the summer landing page is we host this out of school mealtimes work group. And this is covering all of our out of school time meals. So in the summer, so between March and August, these meetings are focused specifically on summer meals and connecting folks together in community who facilitate summer meals. And then September through February, we focus on after school meals. So we encourage folks from across the state to join. If you're just a summer site and just want to hop in for that March to August, that is totally fine. We highly encourage that. And this is a space for any community partner, for sponsors, for your volunteers, if they want to hear about kind of what's happening over across the state. We encourage them to join. We've had presenters come on and talk in the work groups, and it's also a chance where folks can talk to each other and collaborate, get ideas from each other, share recipes, share best practices, share challenges, collaboratively problem solve. So if this is something you're interested in hopping in on, we encourage you to sign up and attend those meetings and learn from folks who are out doing the same work out in the field together. And Kirsten also just dropped the out of school mealtimes work group sign up in the chat. So you have linked directly to that form to sign up, and then we'll send you the link. With that, I will turn it back over to Kirsten.
Thank you. So we are at the end of our webinar today. And so lastly, what questions can we answer for anyone, whether it's for Chelsea and I, or Finn, or Toby, or Katie? Feel free to use the chat option at the bottom or the Q&A option to ask any questions, and we'd be happy to answer them now. And if you have follow-up questions that come to your mind after the webinar is concluded, you can also email any one of us too and ask those questions, or we can pass them along. So we have one question: is there signage available to promote the feeding program, and how do we access those if so? I can let Toby share about Sunbucks. I did just put a link into the chat in case anybody wants to utilize those tools. And there are some tools on the Maine DOE's summer nutrition page, which I am going to link in the chat here. And then also on the Full Plates webpage, we have a couple of grab and go summer meal flyers where they're like that old school. They just have like the white box in the middle where you can write what days you're doing summer feeding programs, what times, and those are easy to print, downloadable DFs. That was a lot to say, but those are right on our new landing page. And if anyone feels really excited to make their own, I would suggest Canva. It's really user friendly and it's a super bunch of fun to play around in there. Do we have any other questions?
I also dropped the USDA branding kit in there, and that is accessible from our Full Plate Summer landing page as well.
All right. Well, as mentioned, if anyone is interested or has other questions afterwards and learning more or asking questions, we're always available and we're happy to pass questions along or share emails. And we'll also share out all of these links in the slides at the end. And we thank you again for joining us, and especially to Toby and Katie for sharing about the two programs that they work with.